All right, for our next video, we're going to focus on interactivity within SoftChalk, using different tools to go and make it more interactive. Remember, their definition of interactivity is that it's something that requires students to go and do something. Now, there are tools that make it pretty obvious, and we're going to look at those. These are more of the obvious things you can do. Don't forget, though, that there's a lot you can do on the instructional design side away from the tools. You can create narrative-based scenarios, stories, rhetorical questions that have them think and then go and act on certain items. So it's not that you have to go and do these type of pieces, but it's kind of nice to do them. This is where SoftChalk really shines versus kind of just run-of-the-mill type of things. But some people say, well, why go to all this trouble to go and create a SoftChalk lesson when you can just use a Google slide document? And this is an area where it excels. Another area we'll look at in video 5 was be that LTI, that ability for SoftChalk to add as a grading tool, as well as all the management things like the navigation elements that it adds, the table of contents, the hypertext, and all those other pieces. All right, we looked last time at going and adding in images and other pieces like that. I'm sorry, I said images like quiz questions and things like that. And you can see when I am in the create application, or even create online, but I'm in the create application right now, you don't actually see those when you're editing. You'd have to save them and preview them, and then they would show up. The same is going to be true for our activities here. So I'm going to go and I'm going to insert, and instead of doing a quiz popper, I'm going to go under activity. You're going to see lots of different choices here. Okay, now we're not going to do all of them, but I will show you what they look like here in a little bit. I'm going to start by doing a drag and drop. This is kind of one of the more popular ones, and it is essentially a matching activity. So I click on it, up comes a pop-up, and it says, all right, let's see here. And click the button to add in, and then I'm going to go ahead and create my matches. So let's see, let's do this. Let's do, and then I'm going to do another one. And we'll do another one. And you get the idea. Sorry, my U key is sticking right now, so it's not able to type for. Okay, you can actually import and export options if you have them saved to different formats. Typically, teachers don't do that, but some people who use it quite a bit will go in and do that. I click on activity display, and it's going to ask me what I want to showcase it as, whether it's going to be embedded, pop up from an icon, pop up from the clickable text. By the way, if you're looking at this video and you say, well, it looks a little different than the question one, you're not alone. I'm actually seeing this kind of option for the first time. This is the new way it's going to be displayed, because this is the same utility that they're building for online. Create online, in other words, editing your SoftChalk lessons in your internet browser, used to not be able to go and edit activities. They couldn't even edit questions. So they're adding in that capability, and you see an all brand new, kind of slicker type of interface here. So this is, if you're following along at home, this is July of 2020 here. Okay, so I can come in, I could label it here. Here's where I can put in the instructions. Match the capital to its states. I don't know why I capitalized that, but I did. And again, I can have it so it's viewed on the website, or so that you can click it up from an icon, and then you could say where that icon goes. Let's go ahead and do the icon there. Okay. You can also go in and set how many points that this is worth. So let's go ahead and make it 4 points. Since it's 4 items, you can allow whether it's you can retry it. You can say whether you want to show the answers, and you can turn feedback sounds on or off. I'll leave them on for now, but a lot of times people turn them off. Okay. I can also preview it too if I want. That's actually going to open up a pop-up. Oh, sorry, on my second window, so let me pull that back up here. So you see the option here, and you can just drag that in. How about this one? Yes! And you hear the little sound with it. Perfect. So that's the process. And if I put it to the wrong spot, it would do that. Okay, and then I could complete the activity, and you get your 3 out of 4 with that. All right. So I like that. I'm going to click OK, and then there it is. Let's do another one just to show you inline. So we did that one. Let's do ordering. And once again, going to the second one there. Okay, so I'm going to add in, and this one will have a card, so I could go in and actually upload an item or drag and drop an item into this card, but I'm not going to. Let's say we'll just do this, and we'll make another one. You can see how this might work. Obviously, I could have 3 things that are in a sequence instead of actually writing out the words first, second, and third and putting it in there. Same type of options. This time we'll embed it within that page so they can show right up there. And there are general, in fact, let's leave those blank. There are general directions for these activities that basically say put the following in order. So you don't have to write something there. You could do it more specific if it was, if you were talking about the 6 steps of the scientific method or what have you, you could put in those directions there. Again, I can say pointwise, so we'll say 3. I could take off the allow retry. I could take off the feedback sounds and then click OK. So that'll put that in there. Now let's take a look at that. And we put those on page 4. So there is my thing, and I'm going to go and rearrange and check my answers. Yes, 3 out of 3. Perfect. And again, I could go in here and then match those. Oh, I am a whiz at capitals. All right, so you saw I did those, and note my running score up here. I've got 7 out of 10 there. Remember in our last video we did some questions back here, so those are the other 3 points that are there. Okay, now not every activity has points with it, but a lot do. And again, you can make those so that they don't have any points with them. You can make it so that the points are there, but the points really don't matter. It's just kind of testing your own knowledge. Or you can make it so that the points do accumulate and they can go back into the gradebook. But then within your learning management system in the gradebook, you could say, no, I'm not going to really count this as points. I want to see what you got and use that for my own data, but it's not going to count against you for a grade. Or you could make it count against them for a grade. So you have a lot of options on how you would use that. You don't have to make it, punitive. I don't know if punitive is the right word or such. So, all right. So there are lots of different activity types. So here, one example is charts, and so you've got different charts. This is not a scoring activity, but you've got pie charts and you've got pyramid charts and things like that. By the way, this lesson I believe is in your course when you're looking at it. The lesson is on how to put interactivity into SoftChalk, and it goes through all the different examples. When you click on an item, it gives you the chance to go in and basically make a label. You can make that pretty advanced there, and then and such. So there are some activities that are not as academic as others. Crossword I'm not very fond of in terms of an academic type of thing. That's better than actually some others. This one we use quite a bit. It's very simple. It's a did you know activity. It's basically you ask a question, you let them think about it, and then they can see what the answer is. There's not points with it. There's no way to go and submit your answer, but it's just a way to kind of rhetorically do that. And you see how you add just that little amount of interactivity to get them to think through something and test their own understanding. It takes kind of the static text or a static lesson and just make it a little bit more active for the student. Here is the old version of the drag and drop. I said the new version. So the old version looks like this. It still works similarly. So iron, that will go with wrinkles, of course, and a mower. That goes with data, of course. Oh, well, it should. And you saw what the new one looked like. So a lot of these, I think the look and feel will be updated here as we go, but the functionality is pretty much the same. Flashcards is very similar to Did You Know, except for now you can have a sequence of them. So I have a term from a tech tool from actually yesteryear, it looks like, and you can click here to see what the definition is and such, and test your understanding with those. Okay, and let's see, square root of 4. Oh, that's 2. Very good. All right. That's not a graded activity. This one is, though, the hot spot. You can come in here and you can say, You can highlight over something and it'll tell you what that particular item is, and then you can actually go in and click on different things too. So you can use that with a picture, and then you basically color in a portion and say that colored portion in equals this label. Obviously for a biological or a scientific diagram it makes a lot of sense, but think about it for things like, diagramming sentences or, maps in geography class or things like that. Any graphical organizer actually could be used to go in and utilize a hotspot type of technique. Jigsaw puzzle, I'm not going to spend too much time on that one. Labeling, very similar to drag and drop. Picture, now you're asking them to go in and label it. So let's see how good they are. Upper eyelid, that's right here, right? No. Ordering, very similar to what we saw before, but instead of the card diagram, this is what it used to look like. I definitely like the cards better. You can use images and things like that. They've really improved their features there. Photo album, I use this one a lot. And what's nice is, remember, every one of these items, when you build it in SoftChalk, in fact, let's take a look at that here. If I go back to SoftChalk. So I built this one. I can go in and save it to SoftChalk Cloud and call it whatever I like. You saw I have saved a ton in the past here. And then I can go in and reuse those. I can insert a SoftChalk item into another lesson. So once I make one interactive, I can put it into a lot of different spots. And so I do that a lot with flip books and different things like that, even if they're more humorous than anything else. In this case, this one's humorous, but we have a lot of cases where they're not. C-chord is an option. Slideshow, similar to the other one, except for now you can put audio. You can record your voice and have that go along with that, so it's more than just the photo book. The sorting activity, this is a little different than the ordering one. You've got categories, and then you got to go and say, all right, what is this part of? And then go ahead and put that in there and such, okay? And then you've got tabbed info. Now this is something that is kind of like the tab display in Moodle that we've taken a look at in other places, but you can go in and categorize information and just put it with different items. And nice, you can pick different colors and make it very visual. Okay. Also, timeline activity. You can go in and create different timelines here and say, give kind of people a historical sense of that. And then there's a lot of new ones that we consider mobile friendly, and these are activities that work good on a phone or an iPad and such. So you've got the align, you got the identify, pairs, presenter, and selection and sequence. So like for example, selection, which ones are trees? Oak, maple, pine, fir, birch, cedar. And which ones are cars? I know those, and I can check them, and yes, perfect. So it would tell me which ones I missed. So that's kind of a selection, categorization type of thing. This is more just a presentation tool where I can put in images or slides. State capitals. This is a pairing. So I would say, okay, Des Moines and Iowa, Michigan and Lansing, that type of thing. What color is a shirt? Match that with, that's brown. And then solve this number. That's 3. First president was Washington because I just saw Hamilton. Yep. And so then you can go in and test yourself. So all of those are activities as well. And so lots of things to choose from. Very simple to go and create those. Whenever you go in and create a SoftChalk activity, if I close that out and go and make a new one, I believe. Let's make a chart. They also have a how-to in here, and it'll not only click to, you can go see an example, and you can see a tutorial on how to do it, which is nice. They're adding more and more to those to the SoftChalk online create, and they'll work pretty much the same as when we added the quiz questions. You saw you could add quiz questions online. They're going to work the same as they do here for those, and eventually you'll be able to do all of them that way. All right. The other thing, though, is you can go in and utilize a free tool called H5P. You go to h5p.org, and when you're there, you can create a free account. The free account gives you a limited amount of space. When you create interactives, you're going to have not only your interactive, but you're going to have kind of like SoftChalk. You're going to have an embed code that you can go in and then embed the interactive into other things or a direct link to it. Okay. Now it has some limits on hosting, kind of like SoftChalk does. And so we've actually gone and bought access to h5p.com here with the AEAs. And this gives us access to go and to have lots of different hosted content. We can go in and have pretty much as much space as we want to, but you shouldn't have to worry about that yet. You can start with just having the free account, and you pretty much are going to have as much, unless you go gangbusters like one of our instructional designers in creating interactives. This is going to give you plenty of years of space before you have enough stuff that you get in there. And there's a lot of things in here. It's very similar to SoftChalk and how easy it is to create, but there are things that are game-based or interactive-based. There's things that are multimedia. There's question things. There's even social media things that you can put in there. And, so like content-wise, you can click on, here's accordion, and it will show you an example. And so I can just kind of, pull that in, and it's talking about different terms, different berries in this case. And I could go in, here's, different things about the Netherlands. It's kind of like Wikipedia almost. You can go in and kind of expand it and such. Okay, so that is interactive, takes a lot of content and kind of makes it more user directed, but it doesn't really give them an assessment or anything with it. Okay. As opposed to things like, let's see, they've got their own drag and drop here, and you can go in and see that. Oh boy, I have no idea where that goes. I'll just say there, and we'll show my score, and I am not even close. I don't know what I don't know what those are. Those would be something I should have checked beforehand. Okay. You set up, you get a kind of an idea of how you can go in and utilize that in different situations, right? So if you go in and you have your account created, I'm going to go into my h5p.com, but it's going to be very similar to you, to that one. When you are ready, actually, let me back up for a second. All right, so in h5p.com, I have different folders. These are our different team members here for AA Learning Online. Each person has their own folder. Rob is kind of our king. He's got actually all types of different interactives that he's made for different modules in the past. So he'll go in, he'll create something like a drag and drop, and he's got all these different items, and he'll go and say, is it universal or supplemental / intensive? He's got dialogue cards. He's got a virtual tour. I haven't seen this one. So yeah, you can go in and actually look through a classroom, and when you click on something, it'll tell you, a little feature about that. I think this has to do with the health and safety module. This is kind of cool. Okay, so you can see how you can go in and create different things like that. I want to go in and create a new module. I'm going to click Add Content, and then I have all of these to choose from. And just like we saw before, let's say drag the words. I want to add that one. I can click on Details. I can see kind of an example with it. Even if I get in and start doing it, I can see a tutorial on how to go and create this as well, an example for it. And I can just kind of start away and make it really easy. Put in a title, put in a description, and then basically type in the content that you'd like as well as the feedback. And then once you're done, you click Save, and then you're going to have that interaction. And if I go back to this particular one, I can go to my sharing for it. Oh, this one's not active yet, so I probably should have picked one that is active. Resources for social distancing. Okay, well, I am. Oh, I'm just gonna. I am misreading that. So let's just click back on this one. Okay, so I was clicking on the wrong thing. I should have clicked on publish instead of share. Share would be with a fellow collaborator, but publish is to the general public. And it's going to give me either the link or, as mentioned, that embed code. And I can copy that and go and put that in. Much like YouTube, much like SoftChalk, much like anything else, you have a public version. You have a protected version that you can put into a learning management system, and then you have an unpublished version. You can see it, but nobody else can. Okay, so really cool tools there. These are interactive tools that you can go in and put in. And again, think about the definition of interactivity. These are things that are incorporating elements where students are doing something with it. It does not necessarily make engagement, and that's always a big misnomer with education. Interactivity helps with engagement, but it doesn't always equal engagement. So putting a lot of these things in could just be playtime, or it could just be fluff or busy work for students. So you really want to make those part of that educational process in order for it to be successful. But I can tell you that without doing all that and just having an online course that's just all text or just all video, that makes it very uninteractive, and it can make it a very painful experience for students. So having things like this where they can go and actually click on things and see a reaction with it has a big effect. So, all right, we'll look at the last bit with SoftChalk in our next one, where we'll look at kind of putting it all together, managing it, and utilizing it.